Michael Schwartz from Valley of the Suns here once again with, what are you today?
ArizonaSports.com, yeah.
Yep, Adam Green from ArizonaSports.com. I swear we don't wear red shirts to every game, only the days we decide to do this.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. That's
totally random.
It's okay. KTAR's Craig Greeley was wearing a red shirt as well. So, whatever. But anyways, the game we're here to talk about, it was a 111-107. Suns lost to the Oklahoma City Thunder. Suns played really well through three quarters.
Yeah.
Vince Carter played really well through three quarters, and the fourth quarter just wasn't it for them.
No, it was Vince Carter. You look at the final box score, 33 points, 11 of 21 shooting, you think, that's a really good game, and you would take that from him. Then you look at a game, and he shot 1 of 7 in the fourth quarter, and a bunch of those misses were late in the game when they were down a bucket or two, and he had good looks, they just weren't falling, and it's just it's unfortunate for Vince because he did have one of his better games as a Sun, but if you were here, you're going to leave here with a bitter taste in your mouth.
Yeah, and Vince was even saying the problem on those shots were he was too wide open.
Yeah.
They were good shots. He was hitting them all game, and he just didn't. You hate to say that he lived down to his reputation of not exactly being a crunch time killer. On the Daily Dime Live early on, everyone was saying, "Oh my God, we better not. No more hate on Vince. What's he doing?" And then, what do you know? Same old Vince at the end of it kind of shoots them out of the game.
Can't handle prosperity, I guess. I don't know. You look at it and say, was Vince Carter the only offensive option on this team? You have a guy like Steve Nash, who's one of the best shooters in basketball. He took 2 shots in the fourth quarter. He made them both, but he took 2 shots, and one was a layup at the end of the game.
Yeah.
That didn't really matter. So if I'm looking at this game and saying, okay, what went wrong? I mean, it's the offense entirely. I'm not putting it all on Vince because if he was taking open looks, they weren't bad shots. He wasn't forcing it. He was doing it all within the context of the offense, and they just weren't falling. That's going to happen sometimes.
Then there was a couple of officiating calls. I know you don't like talking about the officiating calls, but Steve Nash and Grant Hill certainly did.
Yeah.
Nash and Hill both got technicals on one play for seemingly saying nothing. Nash got one, and then Hill said, "What? He was just talking to me."
Yeah.
It kind of didn't really make sense. Nash was saying it was a huge momentum killer because the Suns could have had a fast break out of it if no fouls called. Instead, Durant had 4 free throws, drilled 2 of them, and you don't want to say that that's the reason they lost, but it was certainly a huge momentum killer.
Well, the game was tight at that point, and Steve Nash after the game said it's tough to overcome and play through that, but you look at these teams, and there was a note in the Suns pregame stuff where their starting lineup had as much experience in the league. There's actually 1 fewer year than Grant Hill does, and to me that shows the Suns are the veteran team. They've been through poor officiating before. You were tied.
Yes, they have.
Play through it.
Yeah.
You know, you're at home. The crowd got fired up. It was a really relaxed crowd up until that point. They really got into it, and if you're the home team, you need to feed off of that and make some shots. And what's going to come out is 6 of 20 in the fourth quarter. That's just not good enough.
And it's not the first time we're talking about that. It feels like every time we do this, it's about poor fourth quarter execution. I mean, you go down the road, the Detroit game, the Sacramento game, all of these collapses. It was about playing really strong basketball for 3 quarters. And overall, this team's been playing a lot better lately. But in the fourth quarter, once again, they just didn't execute. And Alvin Gentry was saying, hey, we executed, just didn't make shots.
Yeah, I mean, before the Suns would go down needing a bucket and they couldn't even get a shot off. Tonight they were getting really good looks, or Vince Carter was getting really good looks, and they just weren't falling. And you're going to play basketball, you're going to miss shots, but all you can do is hope to get open looks. Now, maybe you wish you could got them some closer instead of three-pointer after three-pointer, long jumper after long jumper, and that's where this team misses that dive guy, Amari Stoudemire, getting those easier buckets. But if you're getting open shots, that's all you can ask for.
Marcin Gortati's been so good. Tonight, not as much, 10-8. Oklahoma City kind of geared its defense toward him a little bit more, sent a couple guys at him at different times, and you could tell they game planned for him. It's not just like some of the other games where he was getting free for whatever he wanted. He really had to work for it, and he wasn't the same guy.
No, and you look at Oklahoma City, Serge Ibaka was one of the key guys for them.
No
Gentry made mention of that. He had a turnaround jumper. I remember looking at you during the game saying, if he's making those, you're in trouble because of Serge Ibaka making turnaround jumpers, but couldn't keep him off the glass, it seemed like, at the end, especially offensively. And he made 9 of 10 shots. So it's kind of like an athletic center, a tall athletic center to match up with Gortat. Kind of gave him a little bit of trouble out there. You have the slow, plodding guys. And Marcin, he's been playing well, and his game he wasn't horrible tonight, but he wasn't dominant like he was the last few games. And that's kind of the process. You can't expect him to keep doing that every single night. If he did, he's an all-star.
Right.
He's the greatest center in Suns history, which sadly he may be soon enough. But it's just one of those cases where they played a very young and athletic team that matches up real well with the Suns.
Still, you look at it, 500's kind of been that elusive mark. The Suns haven't been there since December 20th, I believe, when they beat the same Oklahoma City Thunder team, and they've been so close. It almost seems like a mental thing. Like, you just want to get to 500, and then you can start talking about the playoffs. Playoffs, they're not very far out. They would have been tied in the loss column for the 8th spot if they would have won tonight. But you need to get to that 500.
It's amazing how much goals change. Now it's like you just need to get to 500.
Yeah.
And it is a tough climb because the West there's a lot of good teams, and the Suns often aren't going to play a team that they can sit there and say we're better than them on talent alone. And when you're losing these games at home, and yes, the Thunder are a very good team, but the Suns need to win that game at home if they want to be considered not a 500 ball club, but a playoff contender. Because no, you're not going to beat every good team, every playoff team, but you're at home. You need to win this one.
Yeah, you really do, especially as well as this team's been able to play recently. And I just really think just the mental part of being there and then just moving forward with your season. But it wasn't meant to be tonight. Still, the Suns have been playing well lately. You know, there's no question about that. You look at a 3-2 homestand, and honestly, that's what I predicted at the beginning of the homestand on my
Nostradamus there, okay.
Yeah, 3-2. But you look at it, it's like, okay, you gain one game. It's like nothing.
You gained it on yourself. I don't know what teams
yourself.
ahead of them are doing,
but it felt better than that, kind of. So to give today up kind of hurts, you know?
Yeah, it was the quality of wins. When you beat Boston in the homestand, you beat New Orleans, you're feeling pretty good about your play
really
right now.
Blow out Milwaukee.
Yeah, so I mean, you're feeling good, and then to end it with a loss to Oklahoma City, who, like we said, they're good, and the Suns made sure that to save that. Channing Frye talked about how good they were, but again, if you're playing really well and if you want to take that next step, I mean, yeah, to 500 and then beyond, you win a game like this because you're in it. It's not like you got outplayed severely. You just didn't execute down the stretch like you needed to, didn't make the shots, and that's going to cost him down the stretch.
One more topic. There was one all-star point guard on the floor tonight. His name was Russell Westbrook. Was Steve Nash snubbed?
I don't think so. Or, I mean, did he deserve to go? Yeah, you could say he deserved to go, but to me a snub means he didn't go over someone else who didn't deserve to go. And Russell Westbrook is an all-star caliber point guard. He actually got the better of Nash, I thought, tonight. There were multiple times where he just took it right at Steve, and Steve seemed a little passive tonight, especially offensively. 4 of 9 shooting. He turned the ball over 5 times, so he didn't have his best game. And whether that was because of going against Westbrook or not, I mean, that's for the scouts to decide. People looking, breaking down the tape. But it's hard for me to sit here and say Steve Nash deserved to go over Westbrook or over Darren Williams or over Tony Parker, whoever else was in there. It's hard to say that.
No, not even any Tony Parker, just Westbrook and Williams.
Yeah, so there are other guys who deserve to go, too.
Certainly. Yeah, Westbrook with the 19, 11, and 7 tonight. So he almost had a double-double in the first half alone.
Yeah.
So, no, I agree overall. I mean, there are so many deserving players in the West. Someone was saying you could make a team of the West snubs and it would beat the East reserves. There's just that many good West snubs, especially before Kevin Love was the late ad for Yao Ming. But Nash's numbers are just so good. He's top 10 in all the advanced metrics, more or less. He's second in assists with this team, with no other second star or anything like that. I just feel like he's having an all-star caliber season.
He is.
But then I know you look at it and it's like, no, Darren Williams is an all-star. Russell Westbrook's an all-star. Obviously, Chris Paul's an all-star.
Monte Ellis is an all-star. Parker's an all-star. I mean, there are a lot of guys who should be all-stars, and that's what's going to happen when there's so many guards in the West that they all can't make it.
And it's good. You look at the silver lining. The guy's turning 37 on Monday. I think the Suns will be okay with him having a week off, especially remember last year he flew to Canada, did the whole torch. He comes to Dallas. He wins the skills contest.
And he was too tired for the second half of the season. The team struggled all the way to the Western Conference Finals.
Yeah, exactly. If he wouldn't have done that, I'm sure they would have beaten the Lakers and gotten to the finals and won it all. So that probably made a huge difference in this season.
I think so. Yeah.
But anyways, always disappointing. This is the first year since 2004, before the whole Nash era run started, that there's not going to be a Phoenix Sun in the All-Star game. Kind of a end of an era kind of thing, but...
Well, it began with them just dominating the All-Star game. You had, I think, 3 All-Stars. And then you had the dunk contest. You had Quentin Richardson in the three-point contest, Nash in the skills.
The shooting stars
competition.
Riley.
So, I mean, it was the Phoenix Suns All-Star game. I think that one was in Denver.
Yes.
So, I mean, they ran it.
405.
It happens.
This is the non-Phoenix Suns All-Star game.
Yep.
So we've come full circle as Nash turns 37 and the sun starts to set on this era. But not so fast. We've still got some basketball left to be played this season. And it'll be interesting to see where things go from here.
Yeah, I mean, they're not that far off of a playoff spot, and there's some talent here. It's just a matter of can they get through the tough nights like this and rebound not only on the court, but just rebound from the losses. And they're a veteran team. You'd like to hope that they can do it.
Definitely. Well, for ArizonaSports.com's Adam Green, I'm Michael Schwartz. Keep watching our little TV show, as Green likes to call it. And Suns dropped this one 111 to 107 to the Oklahoma City Thunder.